This is Pete Feenstra on Monday the 26th of March 2012, talking to Joey Tempest from Europe. Great to have you here.
Yeah, good to see you again.
We're live at the Hard Rock Cafe, and I mentioned the date. It's very significant, not the particular date, but just the fact that you guys are so busy over the last 2 years, and we're all trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
New album, Bag of Bones, following on last Look at Eden, and great album.
Yeah, thanks.
Breaking new direction.
Yeah.
You as happy with it as we are listening to it?
Yeah, just coming out of that recording, it was a crazy one. You know, we were on the edge and trying to just push ourselves. Last Look at Eden tour was 1.5 years long, and the first sort of lyric that came out of that tour was "Feel like a bag of bones." That's what I felt like.
Wow,
but it sort of started from a
dramatic title.
Yeah, it started from a darker place, but it turned into be a quite positive, straightforward rock album, I think. We're very pleased with it.
That's great. I want to take you back to Let's Look at Eden, and you said it was a significant turning point for the band. I mean, was that simply in terms of you repositioning yourself as a band, or did you just all mature to get to this point?
It was the third comeback album, if you like, and we were getting into it. Secret Society, we learned a lot from producing that by ourselves. And Start from the Dark was sort of a raw album. So the third, Last Look at Eden, we saw all the pieces were coming together. Yeah. You know? So it was a good album for us. Yeah.
And all the albums you've done before, of course, you've had a different producer on. Has that been the idea to change it and keep it fresh, or to strike out a new direction? Yeah,
we always want to do that. We've always changed producer, because when you do an album, you get into it so much, you know, and sort of you want to move on from it. You don't want to do the same thing again. We feel like that. I mean, I admire bands that keep doing the same thing all over again, but we can't. So a new journey, a fresh attitude. Bag of Bones is the same thing. You know, it's going to surprise a bit, but if you listen to it a few times, you might get it.
An evolution, do you think?
Oh yeah, it's always an evolution.
Yeah. And a natural progression from the last album?
Absolutely, absolutely. We touched upon this more rock, classic rock blues thing on the last one. Maybe we'd catch that play in a few other songs, but this time we sort of took it all the way. Three or 4 years ago, the bass player played some Bonamassa tracks backstage, and we just fell in love with it, you know.
The blues rock vibe.
Yeah, Ballad John Henry and stuff, and then
very powerful.
We called up Kevin Shirley and said.
So how did you make the connection with Kevin?
Yeah, it was Bonamassa came up and guest appeared on Doghouse last year, and we thought, let's just call his mate Kevin Shirley and see if he wants to do it. And he was delighted to do Europe album. He came over to Stockholm. We did it in an old studio with only 70s and 60s gear in it, and that's why you have that warm sort of classic rock feel to it. And we had a great time with Kevin.
And there's got that kind of 70s root to it. I mean, was that one of the reasons you went to Kevin as well?
Yeah, we were on that sort of, that was the path we were on, going back to our roots. I mean, first thing we listened to together as a band was Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. Yeah. And it was just walking around, listening to Black Dog was just the best afternoons in my life, you know. So we sort of, without knowing it, tapping into that those early influences, those big influences in your life, early teenage years, or when you just get the most effect of all these rock albums. And now when we did this album, subconsciously it all just came out. You know, it's a tribute. The whole album is a tribute to classic rock.
Yeah, yeah. So just to get back to the production, I mean, you were already kind of striking out in that new, what in effect is the new album. Yeah. Before you hooked up with Kevin. Yeah. So what was the actual input that he gave you, other than the direction you were already going?
Yeah, we had a plan already, as you say. We had Doghouse already on the road before we met Kevin. But Kevin was great because we always record live, but sometimes we're in different rooms. But this time,
it was a real
same room. Because sometimes John wants to be in the control room and Ian sits in a booth somewhere, and we play at the same time and everything. But this time we were actually standing around each other with headphones and feeling the vibe, and you could really hear it on the record. We didn't fix things too much. It was very sort of organic.
And did Joe actually play in the same room with you, or did he put his part in afterwards?
He put his part on in New York. It's hard to pin that guy down, but
I guess.
Him and Anton Fig did their stuff in New York afterwards. But he did a great slide guitar on Bag of Bones. Joe Bonamassa.
And staying with the production, which I mean, is that also an attempt to kind of break into America a bit more as well, with that kind of British hard rock sound, but which goes down well in America.
If that happens, that would be great. I mean, this could be an album that could appeal to America because it's their tradition and in classic rock and everything. But there was no plan really. Okay. We just wanted to work with a producer that could handle a classic rock vibe, and Kevin was the man. I
want to throw a quote at you. You said about Kevin Shirley, he just let us do our thing and then pushed us and our songs to the max, which, funnily enough, is exactly what Beth Hart and Joe Bonamassa said to me as well about him. So I guess he made an impression.
Yeah, he's good like that. He wants everybody, all the band members, to be there to the last day. So we work song by song, which is also different for us. You finish one song, then you move on to the next and move on to the next, which means all the band members will be there to the very end.
Yeah.
And everybody comes up with ideas. It's very much a band thing. It's a family thing, and Kevin wants everybody involved, and that's also a strength for us.
And you mentioned the fact that you played Doghouse. Of course, it was on the Shepherd's Bush concert there, which became the DVD. Was that the starting point for the new album? Was that the first song that you wrote?
Yeah, we wrote that on the
road. Very
accessible,
of course.
We started playing it, and we felt it'd be great to move in more towards the classic rock area, as well as it's hard rock, but a little bit more towards that. And Doghouse was a great start for us. We realised that a straightforward rock album would be lovely to make, and here we are. We made it.
And conversely, A Drink and a Smile, I think, was the last one that you did.
Yeah,
but it actually fits perfectly into the sequencing of the record. So
yeah, we stumbled upon that one. I called the other guys. I said, let's do one more track. They were like, no, you're crazy. We don't have time. Yeah, let's do it. And we got together and we did it really fast. And we wanted an old stomper, like Zeppelin kind of thing, you know, with a vocal through Leslie and just a good feeling track. I think we managed to do it, but it was done so quick. And then you realize good rock records are often done having fun and quickly.
Organically.
Yeah, it just happens in the room and everybody's having a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, and Demon Head is another example of that Deep Purple the feel that you're talking about.
I love that track. It's got that old, we used to listen to Deep Purple when we were kids, and it's got that drive, those riffs, and yeah, it's lovely.
And not supposed to sing the blues, is that in any way autobiographical? I mean, you're singing about born in '63, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, sure. It is a little bit. I mean, the whole song is just a tribute to all these bands we listen to. And of course, we make references to AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and just milestones in our lives, you know.
So on the one hand, you're opening up Europe to a wider or potential wider audience. On the other hand, you've got to drag your existing fans over there. What's been the reaction so far, not just to this album but the previous one, because it was a very, very powerful, both of them very, very powerful albums, but they are a departure for where you were before, you know.
All four comeback albums, if you like, are slightly different, and we do surprise our fans a bit. They have to go with us on this journey. They get a bit surprised, oh no, what are they doing now? Oh yeah, but it's kind of good, so they come along. And another band that did that was Rush. I mean, they always sort of surprised everybody, but the fans, they wanted to be on that journey. They wanted to be sort of surprised a bit. Let's go there. Okay, we're coming, but we're coming a bit slowly. And you have to think about, an artist is probably 1.5 years ahead of the listener, because you have the idea in your head already, and you start writing the demos, you start working, and when you release an album, you're there. I mean, this is great, but they have to sort of get used to it and get into your headspace. So.
And do the tracks change? It's an obvious question when you play them live. Do they?
They do progress, but sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Because Doghouse, we played that for a year live, and then we presented to Kevin.
Yeah.
And Kevin said, maybe you should try it slightly different. And we were like, hang on, we've been playing it for a year.
Yeah.
So that took a couple of days to sort out. But now it turned out even better on the record.
I'm thinking about John Norum. When he was away from the band, he was exploring kind of rock blues, and I think he got into other bands, Audio Slave and the like. I mean, did any of those influences? Did he bring any of those influences to this album? Or was it all collective? No, John, the guitar player.
Yeah, John Norum. Yeah.
I think he said, you know, he was listening to different things outside of Europe.
I mean, you can bump into him, and he'll say, "I've been listening to Allman Brothers all day today." No, but Audio Slave's first album is very crucial for us. I mean, that was a milestone in our lives. We use it as a reference when we go into studio, and also some of the Black Stone Cherry stuff.
Yeah,
these young guys can dial in the sound, you know, and the guitars, and it's good to have those references for us when we go in, you know, bands, and some of the Bonamassa stuff, Ballad of John Henry, Blue and Evil.
Yeah.
Those things are really good to have.
Good crossover stuff. And thinking about the recording of the album, it's notable for the big drum sound. A lot of riffs in there. Taking a step back and thinking about how the songs were written, Were they riff generated, and if so, who came up with the melodies and the trademark symphonic sound that is Europe and remains Europe?
It started really weird because I felt a bit empty and tired after the last Look at Eden tour. I rented this small place in Shepherd's Bush. I brought my Strat, and I said, "Can you put a Marshall in there?" And I just went into this dark red room and stood there by myself and said, "What the hell am I going to write now? A new record? All right, let's start." But I feel like a bag of bones, and that's how it all started. And then Not Supposed to Sing the Blues, and Reaches to Rags was an early one too. I loved the attitude of that track.
Yeah.
And it started from that headspace and sort of more of a darker. And then, as we said, Drink and a Smile ended it all up on a happy note. And yeah, it's been a journey. But I wrote some of the stuff in Shepherd's Bush. John Norum sent me a few things, Mick McHaley as well, and John Levin, the bass player. So everybody's been involved. We work in Stockholm. We have a rehearsal place outside Stockholm where I go after they've sent me stuff. So we work things out, but we send stuff to each other and we mix it up.
And how much do you actually work them through before you record them?
We're quite prepared. Some of the guys said we should have been more prepared this time, but it was also nice to leave it a bit open for Kevin. Kevin come in and come with ideas, but we sort of have 12 or 13 rehearsed songs.
Yeah.
They are a little bit open to changes, but we are quite prepared.
And on Firebox, that's quite kind of an interesting song. You've got some ethereal sounds and a sitar on there. That's, again, new, completely new direction for you. New sounds.
That was a curveball because we were in this classic rock blues record, and then all of a sudden Mick sent me this riff, and I'm like, yes, this is amazing, and it just turns everything upside down. Firebox is an amazing track. And the same with the last song, Bring It On Home. There are some songs that sort of throws the album a bit sideways, but Firebox being one of them. It's majestic. It's going to be fantastic to play live.
I'm thinking about John Norum's guitar parts. There's some great shredding on there, but it's part of a bigger wall of sound, isn't it? It's a little bit further back in the mix. It's very, very... it's just a beautiful wall of sound. It's powerful but different.
Yeah, it's a guitar album, and John didn't work things out. It deliberately didn't work the solos out too much.
Until the recording?
Yeah, so some of them are actually live takes. I believe Not Supposed to Sing the Blues, I believe Bag of Bones, there's a few other ones that was on the spot, and he didn't work them out too much, and we love that because the album is more loose like that, it's more organic. So John is fantastic on this record, but he's more spontaneous, which is great.
Yeah. Now, of course, you've enjoyed essentially two careers, really, two in one.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about, since you reformed, or when you did reform, did you as a collective, the band together, did you all still have the same musical influences? Did you want to pursue the same musical influences that's led you to where you are now?
Well, one thing we discussed in 2003 was that we didn't want to make an 80s album. So that was the first thing we decided. Let's go on a new journey, let's see where we are. And you can hear that Start From the Dark, it's more detuned, and it's sort of a new angle. I've come from 3 solo albums, learning more about lyrics, exploring all that, you know, Jackson Browne, and which I love, and then Van Morris and Neil Young, all that. I went on that journey, so lyrically I sort of moved on, I suppose. But it's been a new journey, basically. We're so lucky, we're getting some success again on new stuff, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
I guess you must get more guys coming to the gigs now than...
A few more. A few more.
Thinking about contemporary times and the internet, Twitter, all these things, Facebook, bands generally interact more with their fans. As a result of that, are you more influenced by what you think fans want from the band?
I think it is great. I mean, to see what you can read, what they feel about the songs and their reactions, I think it's fantastic. We've always been a band that do exactly what we want, though. So, but it's nice to see what songs they like, and sometimes you can take it into consideration when you play live. If you hear they're talking about a certain song a lot, so it's different, and that's. I mean, the music business is different, but one thing is for sure, the internet's also helped us get everyone closer. Because I remember the fan clubs we used to have in the 80s and early 90s. We weren't connected to the fans. There were people opening letters, and you didn't get that contact. So it's kind of cool. I like it. I like it.
And well, from what I can gather on all these outlets we just talked about, people are really excited about what you're doing, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. We're lucky.
I mean, you go away, you record this, and then you presumably sit there and wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah, because we sort of lock ourselves away, and we don't really care so much what people think at that moment, and we do our best, and then you come out of it, it's like, whoa, what's going to happen? But
one of the things you did do, of course, was put little snippets up there of songs in progress, which is a great idea.
Yeah, we had this idea of every Friday have a, you know, thank God it's Friday film fest. So on our website we put out clips from the studio until the release of the record. So it's been going on for months now.
And it helps people get inside the song. I mean, when I see you doing the vocal parts and stuff like that.
Sure.
And sometimes you see them in isolation as well for the rest of the song, which
exactly.
is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's been a nice one to do that.
Well, I think Bag of Bones is a great album. It's a groundbreaking album. It's got incredible sonic quality, and the songs are the most powerful yet, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Lovely meeting of you, Kevin, Shirley, everything. Classic rock meets the blues.
Yeah.
And how much of it is going to translate into the live show, do we think?
Oh, we just talked about it in the band. I mean, to play 3 or 4 new songs from Bag of Bones would be fantastic. I mean, the festivals in the summer are slightly different, but people are in the party mood, we play the big songs as well. But when we go on a Bag of Bones tour in the autumn, which we'll probably go on a long, long tour into the next year, it would be great to put 3 or 4 or 5 maybe, and then maybe have something in the middle of the show, break it down, do Drinking a Smile and some acoustic bits. We're starting to think about, you know, make dynamic. Like this album is quite dynamic.
You've got that short track in the middle of Requiem, which it's kind of link piece.
That's kind of a funky story, because the name for that song was actually Requiem for the 80s for a while.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because when you hear this album, you can understand why we call it that. But then it was on the cover and everything, our beautiful cover, but Requiem for the 80s was on the can, I think. But anyway, we took For the 80s away. We thought maybe that's a step too far. But that was Mick just played this morose, really sad part in the middle of everything in the studio. We have to record that, and then we put it on, and Ridges to Rags is sort of connected to that lyrically, you know. We're throwing our past away. We don't give a, you know, fuck. We're just doing this now the way we want to do it, you know.
Well, I think you're going to connect with a lot more people, which is the general idea. When's the album come out? Do you know?
In April, end of April.
End of April.
End of April.
And you're going to be back touring in Europe when?
We're doing the festivals.
Pardon the pun.
We're doing the festivals in the summer, including Download there. And then a UK tour in November.
Yeah.
And then we're doing Europe and Scandinavia, and obviously we go to the other place in the world as well. So that's it.
Well, I'm going to just read these out for the benefit of all those people who can't get to some of these. Okay, let's do it. November 21st, the Birmingham O2 Academy. November 22, the Glasgow O2 ABC. November 23, the Ritz in Manchester. 25, the Academy in Newcastle, which is always a blast.
Oh yeah,
always a blast. Academy in Leeds on the 26th, Rock City, another great venue that you know, on the 27th, Bristol Academy November 29th, Cardiff Coal Exchange on the 30th, finishing the British leg on Saturday the 1st of December at the Shepherd's Bush Empire, the very same place where you recorded the DVD.
This is it.
And for those of you who haven't got it, go and get it, because it's great fun. And it's been great fun interviewing you, Joey.
Good seeing you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Pete Feenstra on behalf of www.getreadytorock.com saying good afternoon.